Hi, this is Michael Adams, and I'm hosting a CEORoaster webinar again. And yeah, my pleasure to have Rana VIG here. He's from Blue Lagoon Resources. The company is trading on the Canadian Stock Exchange CSE. The symbol is BLLG. The company is also trading in the United States OTC. The symbol is BLAGF. And on the Frankfurt market, the symbol is 7BL. And for my German friends, the WKN number will be somewhere around this video. So for now, Rana, my pleasure to have you. I know that you are extremely busy these days. So my pleasure to have you here. Thanks for taking the time. And what attracted me to Blue Lagoon when I was introduced to the company like 6 weeks ago, I think, besides the setup that you put together, it's actually you personally, because you have a total different approach, what I feel, for a CEO in the mining space, yeah, because I know a couple of them, and a lot of them are about enjoying life and treating shareholders' money as a lifestyle company. But you're totally different, and that was like it was so refreshing hearing your thoughts about the business. But maybe to start off, give us a little bit of an introduction and background to yourself.
Well, thank you, Michael. First of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your show. Yeah, I mean, I guess my thought process is perhaps a little bit different because my background is predominantly from the private side. For 35 plus years, I've been in private businesses, 5 different verticals, all in unrelated industries. So my sort of method of operation is, try to be the dumbest guy in the room and surround myself with very, very smart people who specialize in the industry that I'm involved in at the time. So, basically, just a lot of private upbringing, and the thought process is, that shareholders' money is, very, very precious, very sacred, and it's my fiduciary duty to be very, very responsible and make sure that every penny is spent wisely. And certainly, God's been good to me. I've done well, and I can certainly support my own lifestyle, so I don't need shareholders' money to do that.
That's cool. And so you had some, especially in the cannabis space, like recently, yeah, which was one of the hottest topics last year. You had 2 really, really successful deals. Would you give us some background on them? Just kind of run us through the big numbers.
Sure. I'll tell you quickly how I got there. I started in the capital markets about 10 years ago, actually in mining, and of course in 2011, 2012, the industry collapsed. So I had a very rough start into it, and then I hung in there for those 7-8 years and restructured the companies that I ended up becoming the CEO of and learning. 2 years ago, after I had sort of restructured those other companies, I had an opportunity to get involved in the cannabis space, and I went and focused on a company at the time. It was called Paleotech, and eventually became Curaleaf, which became the largest IPO in a cannabis IPO in Canadian history. They raised we raised $520 million for that project. So that was very, very exciting. I was shortly after that, a couple months after that, I was invited by a failed oil and gas company. They said, hey, we heard some good things about you, and if you could help us out. And I said I'd be happy to if I could take over. So I took over that vehicle, that company as a CEO, and got again very, very focused and found a company called Harvest Health and Recreation out of Arizona. And I was very, very fortunate as that became the 3rd largest IPO in 2018 in the cannabis space, and that was a $300 million raise. So 2 very, very successful companies. Of course, when cannabis was running strong, Curaleaf hit a high of $15, and Harvest hit a high of $14.25 on the Canadian market. So it was a very, 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 very pleased and blessed to have been involved in those 2 very big deals.
Great. And now you're bringing your expertise back to the mining business because a couple of years back, you already had some experiences in the mining business. And now you're coming back. Yeah, Blue Lagoon Resources is kind of your new baby, right? And so, yeah, give us kind of the big picture. Maybe run a little bit through the slides. Yeah, cherry pick where you like to talk about, and then just see where it brings us.
Sure. Yeah. When the cannabis started retracting, I kind of had a feeling that it's had its run, and I like challenges. So I thought, I got started in mining in the capital markets, and I thought, mining had to come back at some point. People kept telling me all those years, it's coming back next year, it's coming back next year. And of course, it didn't quite make it, and still struggling. But I thought it had to come back at some point, and I particularly like gold, so I took a chance. All my associates, my friends thought I was crazy. And last year I decided to launch Blue Lagoon Resources. We're a young company. We just started, we listed July 4th in 2019, and got very, very focused on it, and went to work. So yeah, we can go through this really quickly. Some of the slides here, of course. You have the usual legal disclaimer. People can focus on that and read it. I'm sure they've read many of these before, so I don't have to go through that. Our focus at Blue Lagoon, really is on advancing what's called the Dome Mountain gold mine. It's a permitted gold mine, and I can share a little bit more about that little down the presentation, but. Really, that's our focus, a permitted gold mine near a town called Smithers in northern British Columbia. And if you look at this here, a little bit about the company and management. Like I said, we're young. We just started not even a year ago. We have a pretty strong management team. We have a director who's put a mine in Spain into production that eventually got bought out by Trafigura. We have our other director is a former gentleman from Canaccord, very, very strong financial background. I'm just in the process of putting together a very strong advisory board. So, we're well on our way. And again, what I rely on is more experts in the field. As I mentioned, I try to bring in whatever industry I get into, I try to bring in the top people in that industry. For example, in one of our projects, we brought in JDS Energy and Engineering to do the 43101 report. JDS is one of the most respected engineering firms in the world, and so we brought them on to do that. And for Dome Mountain project, we're working from a company out of Montana called Roughstock Mining, who specialize in small vein systems, right? So we have. I'm very, very confident that I'm surrounding myself with very, very good people, and of course our properties are here in BC, a safe jurisdiction. So no issues, with that. And then if we move on, you see, this slide here talks a little bit about our structure. In a very short period, in 10 months, we did. 3 different acquisitions in order to continue to build the company until we got to this Dome Mountain gold mine. Our structure is very, very important, very, very tight. One of the things that I learned in the capital markets in the 10 years is that the company's structure has to be very well thought out. To me, it's like the foundation in a house. If your foundation, doesn't matter how beautiful, how big, how wonderful, the structure that you build on top of that foundation is, it will always collapse if the foundation isn't correct, isn't right, isn't set properly. So I applied that to this company, and from the very beginning, I handpicked the people who would participate, in the early levels, because I wanted to make sure that they believed in me, in my vision, in what I was trying to accomplish. And so far, I've been very, very fortunate that I was able to do that. So the structure is very, very, very solid. We did a couple of financings about 5 months ago. We started the larger financings. We did $1.1 million at $1 Canadian, and then shortly after that, we did another $1 million raise at $1.50 Canadian. So people, these are and a handful of those people who were in the first financing also came back in the second financing. So it shows that they believe in the company. I also myself, as CEO, put in $300,000 at the dollar level. So I feel strong that our structure is very, 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 very good. I've already talked a little bit about the.
Rana, let me point out. Yes. Can you maybe? I moved back one slide. I think what's really also outstanding, and probably you didn't talk about that, but together with this private placements, or these private placements, they came without warrants.
That's correct. That's correct. Again, I wanted to keep the structure.
Really Yeah, that's really uncommon. Yeah, for the junior mining market. Yeah, usually you get like a full warrant, and usually you pay like 10 cents for a share. But you have been able to attract investors at a $1 per share and 150 per share level, which is fairly high, right, in these junior markets. And you even
Yes.
have accomplished to not even give them warrants. So congratulations.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm very, very fortunate. As I said, I have a very strong following and people who believe, my strength. Again, I'm not a geologist. I'm not a mining engineer or anything like that, right? I'm an entrepreneur, and my focus is, to build the business. And again, if the structure isn't right, I just don't believe it's a win, for anybody. So that's what I've been able to pitch to people who are willing to listen, and they believe in me, and I'm very fortunate. I didn't have to offer warrants or anything like that. You're absolutely correct.
Great.
We're very fortunate. Last year we were invited by the CSC to come and ring the bell, so that was kind of fun, and so we got a some coverage and some magazine articles and stuff. So that was quite the honor. It was quite exciting.
Okay, cool.
So then, if we jump into really what we have here, what we have is the Dome Mountain mine, which is a permitted a permitted mine, which is just a quick 50 minutes drive to out of the town of Smithers, which is in northern British Columbia. That's very important. One of the things that I didn't want to do is get involved in a property that involved float planes or helicopters, or just the costs are just astronomical sometimes. This is a beautiful property because you can drive to it. It's accessible all year round. Through the logging roads. It's only 50 minutes drive, so people can go and work during the day and come back and have dinner with their families, right? So it's an incredible from that perspective, right?
Yeah.
The project is amazing because it's a high grade gold mine, and right now with gold, of course, reaching again new 5-year highs and threatening to break through that 1700 level, and who knows where it goes from there. I think we're in a very, very, very good position. We have a permit for this mine, which is 75,000 tons a year. There are 3 key things that are required in order to get this back into production, and that is not very onerous at all. It's about $2 million budget. And what it will do, and by the way, people always say to me, well, how come it's so small budget to get the mine in production? Well, that's because $68 million has been spent on this already. 40 millions by Timmins and Noranda in the past, and then the previous operators who we took it over from, they spent $28 million just in the last 12 years, all in the infrastructure, right? In development of the mine. So that's why we're just at the tail end. We're at the tail end now, and the couple $1 million is all it's going to take to get it back. And there's 3 key things that are required, right? There is a water treatment facility, a water treatment a plant that needs to be finished. There is some underground bolting and venting that needs to take place, and there is the reclamation of the mine closure plan that needs to finish and submit. Those are the 3 key things. And once we've done that, according to the government, through our deficiencies, there's no reason why this wouldn't get back into production. So our goal, I'm very, very focused on getting this into production. And I got to be honest with you, Michael. When I looked at this in the 10 years I've been in this capital markets, in this business in mining, I've heard this all the time. I look at projects and people say, "Hey, we can get this thing in production in months." And you know what? I didn't see, frankly, any of those get into production. And so when I looked at this project and when we started studying it, I was very skeptical. I just thought, yeah, sure, I've heard this before. But the more we looked at it, the more I had my team, my geologists, my engineers, my consultants that I hired to take a look at this thing, the more we thought, wow, this is amazing that we really are in a very unique position. And frankly, it's not because I'm so smart. I think a lot of it just happened to be luck and being at the right place at the right time, because the previous operators, they just got up there in age. They're 83 years old now. They're not in the best of their health, and they just needed an exit. So we came along, and the more I looked at it, the more I liked it. And the deal, again, going back to the structure, the way we structured the deal. It was all share transaction. We paid approximately 12.5 million shares to acquire the company that owned the mine, and all at a value, Blue Lagoon share price of $2. So we, got, and the reason it was at $2 is because our share price when we started talking to the team, to the organization, to those operators, we were over $2. And I insisted on doing the deal, closing it at 2, and we did. So we got an incredible deal, and all of those 12.5 million shares are escrowed for 3 years, right? So again, going back to that structure, very, very important. So going back to the mine, the property. So there's 2 key elements to this. One is that it's a permitted 75,000 tons per year permitted mine that we intend to get into production very, very soon to get those amendments. Number 2. We have a milling agreement with Nikola Mining. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Nikola. They have a state-of-the-art facility.
Yeah, I did a couple of video interviews with Peter Espik already, so it's good that we know someone in common. So good guy.
Yeah, and Peter knows this project intimately. He loves the project. In fact, he even mentioned to me that he'd love to come on your show and talk about this project if you'd like to have him there, because he knows it. He's not involved in our company in any way. He just independently likes it, and he's not involved in any way other than we have a contract with their mill. So he's anxious and excited to start material. But so our milling agreement is in place. By the way, over 5,000 tons of material was sent to his mill, a couple of years ago, and they refined the process where they can now get 96% recovery of gold, and they can get 85% silver. So the numbers are amazing. They're very, very good. So what I'm getting at is we have everything in place. Right? We have the milling contract in place. We have the Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, so sorry to interrupt you. I think we have a small time delay. Just wanted to quote you on this luck thing, right? We have a saying in Germany, and it says like, luck is with the hard working. I'm not sure if that translates, but you just don't get lucky. Yeah, you have to do something for it. And I think, and you kind of mentioned it, and I've seen numerous presentations also over the last 15 years that I'm doing this thing, right? And yes, if you just take a quick look, it just looks to be too good to be true. Yeah, but you can back everything up. Yeah, it's not grassroots exploration. There was a mine that it was producing, so the gold is there. The infrastructure is there, and your website and your presentation is showing pictures. Like there's an ambulance van sitting there. Like there's everything that you need to shortly be able to restart it. Oh, actually, right. So everything is there. Yeah, and so and if it's not 2 million, maybe it's 2.5 million you need, right? You never know, but it's not a big amount of money, especially as
That's
you
correct.
said. Yeah, you've been able to. You already raised 2 million or more than 2 million over the last little while, right? And so, to me, and that's like my real feeling. Yeah. You have a real good shot here. Yeah, everything, like, it's in BC, so everything is like politically safe. You have the infrastructure, you have good connections to funding, you have a strong shareholder base. So I can't see any downside, unfortunately. I'm always trying to figure out where the skeletons in the closet. So far, I couldn't see one.
Yes, no, I agree, and you know what? I as I mentioned earlier, I'm also the same. I was very, very skeptical, but I visited, the property myself. The geo. There we are in front of the portal. There, that's the best portal entrance I've ever seen. These people took a lot of pride. Look at it; it looks like a cabin. They took a lot of pride in this mine. It was a family, right? It was a family who spent years and years trying to move this forward, but they just got into a bad market, unfortunately, and they couldn't proceed. But yeah, I agree. So other than the other exciting thing, on this, Michael, is that. Not only is it has all this potential of moving into production here relatively quickly, but it's also has 17 veins, high grade veins on the system, that have some work been done on them, and that some of them show as high as 40 grams a ton. So we can do a lot of work on this property to advance the economics. And I can't get too much into the economics right now because of legality, but very soon, within a few days, we have a PEA that we've commissioned that will be released, which will allow me to talk about the economics. So you'll be hearing a lot more about that, very, 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 very soon. So we believe it's a very, very exciting opportunity. There's the slide on Nikola, by the way. That's the mill there. It's a state-of-the-art, beautiful facility that we hope to be accessing very, very soon. The two other quick points on this property. There is also a part of the deal. We negotiated with the owners is they also have this a big property called the Big Onion, which is a big copper porphyry. I won't get too much into that, but it's a nice little property. Well, it's not so little. I mean, it's got 700 million pounds of copper sitting there. And potentially a lot more. That's what the 43-101, the last historical 43-101 says. But from what I'm hearing from my sources in the mining space, they're saying that in the next 2-3 years, copper potentially is going to be a big player. With all this problems we're having in the world, two things we believe are going to happen. Number one, with all the trillions of dollars that the Americans and other countries around the world are going to have to print in order to pay for all this COVID crisis that's happening. That gold generally loves that, right? So we expect that gold is going to break, and that's going to be very exciting for our company, obviously. The second thing is that they're saying that a lot of infrastructure is going to have to be countries are going to have to go back into infrastructure, because traditionally that's where that creates jobs. So a lot of copper is going to be needed. So this is a nice little property that we've got tucked, away. We don't have to spend any money on it for the next 4 or 5 years, and we can kind of just, leave it there. So that's a nice. So that also came, along with our acquisition when we did this for the Doe Mountain, and then lastly.
Sorry, Rana. It's me. So is there any thought about, because this other project like the Big Onion, right, could be also stand on its own? So have you ever thought about kind of later on spinning it out into a different company and dividending it out to your shareholders?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
Absolutely. Again, sort of being an entrepreneur, that's my job, right? I look at all the different options. So right now, what we have is I have our team taking a look at all the data and getting it organized so that we can start having conversations. And that's one of the key things that we're working on right now, is so that we can evaluate. And absolutely, we'll look at all options. Can we monetize it? There's conversations going. Our geologist Bill Cronk is a very senior guy. He used to be chief geologist at Dundee. He's quite well known and very well respected. He has a lot of contacts, and that's one of the things that he's doing right now, is helping us evaluate and talking to different groups to see, is there either a way to monetize this asset right now, or like you said, certainly, do we spin it out? That would be a great bonus to our shareholders. So, we're looking at all of these. Nothing is off the table, Michael. Even one of the, we are a small exploration company that has that has a potential of becoming a mid-tier gold producer, right? And one of the things that I'm looking at is to figuring out, if we can get this thing cash flow, how do we become a dividend giving company, right? So all things are going through my head, trying to figure out how can we best increase shareholder value. Ultimately, that's my job, right? Is that how do I increase the value for my shareholders? That's the first thought when I get up in the morning, and that's the last thought, when I put my head down to go to sleep.
Wow. Okay. No, so I really think you have a good shot, and especially what I like is this close to production scenario, because what most of the junior mining companies are suffering from is, and you're aware of that, is like every couple of months they have like a huge dilution, right? Because they need to drill
Yes.
more and want to put more money into the ground, which is not a bad thing, but they always need to raise the capital from shareholders, and they are diluting their old
Yes.
shareholders. And especially the Germans, right? And I'm a German, we hate dilution, right? So
Yes.
the Canadians have sometimes a different mindset because they think, okay, it's fresh money to the company, they can do and do their thing and create more value. But the Germans, and forgive my French, the Germans always thinking like, these fucking idiots just diluted me, right? So I really like this strategy that you pointed out, to bring the Dome Mountain into production. You still have huge exploration potential, as you pointed out, with these other veins, but then you will be able to fund at least most of this exploration by the proceeds from the mine. Is that right?
All of it, actually, are the back of the envelope numbers that we've done, right? Which hopefully we can share soon after the PEA is out. Show a great opportunity, for us, right? Especially, I mean, even if gold sticks around 1,600, which it's way above that right now. We'll be in very, very good shape. Yes, we can fund all of the exploration. I believe, it's my opinion, from the once we're into production. And I hate dilution, myself, right? That's why I'm very careful. And right now, we're planning and trying to figure out how best to do it. What happens is often is companies run out of money, and then that's when they'll go and they'll take money at any price, right? That's what I am very, very resistant to. And you always have to look at the conditions of the market. But touch wood, so far so good, and I think we're in good shape.
Sounds good. So I have a kind of a running gag. Can you see what this is?
I can't quite. You have
Yeah,
to switch.
let me. Yeah. So here, can you see what it
Yes.
is?
Oh, yes. The crystal ball.
So, right. Take a look into your crystal ball, and tell me where you see Blue Lagoon in, let's say, 12 months and in 3 years. Is it still around? Has it been taken over by another company? So just kind of, give us your thoughts looking into the crystal ball.
Well, I can't predict, the future, right? But I can say, what I'm striving for, what I'm aiming for, right? It's my intention to laser beam focus these amendments, right, which are very specific, which are on paper that we've been told that these are the 3 key things, and a couple minor, but the 3 key things, as I talked about earlier, get those done. And it's my intention to get those done in the next 8 to 12 months and get this into production. That is what I would like to see it happen here in 12 months. And I'm a pretty focused individual. I'm pretty confident I can get that done as long as the markets don't completely collapse on us, which I don't think that's going to happen. So that's my goal there in the next 12 months. In 3 years, we'll see. Once we get this up and running and we're cash flowing, there's so much potential, Michael, on this property. It just makes my head spin when you'll see in the next short time, a little while here, we're gonna put out some more information about these additional veins, and you'll see, your audience will see how incredible of an exploration play it is on top of that. That's why this is a very unique company. We were talking about this the other day, trying to figure out what company can we compare it to, and we're having a hard time finding that because there's not many companies that have these kind of 2-3 things going on, right? We have the a permitted mine that we can have that's truly near-term production, and we have all these 17 high-grade veins that we could take and we can go explore on right on the same property. It's a property that's just a 50 minutes to drive through to a local town, which is a mining town, so people can go and work there and come back home, and kiss their kids and good night and have dinner with them and play with them. I mean, it's very, very unique. And then, as we talked about earlier, we have the big onion that we can monetize or we can spin out and dividend out to our shareholders by creating another company. I mean, there's so much potential here. So in 3 years, we'll see. If the right offer comes along, maybe we're taken out. But I'll tell you one thing for sure, that we will make the best decision at the time that increases shareholder value. That is number one. The most important thing to me is those precious shareholders. How do we continue to increase value of their investment into this company? So that's what I see.
I think there's actually not more to add. I would have loved this as the last sentence, but I have to say something. I'm a German, right? So I always have to have the last sentence. So, but that was like a really good summary. Yeah, thanks for running me through this presentation. I already told you my 2 cents, right? So I really like, besides the project, right? I totally agree with you that structure is one of the key factors. Yeah, you have that totally under control, and you proved that it's under control, right? So you put a lot of thought, as you said, into the structure, which is, again, is the foundation of the company. Dilution kills everything. You have plans in moving into the future, how to minimize dilution as best as possible. You have been able, besides a number of other projects, to just recently be able to close the acquisition of the Dome Mountain gold mine, which again is a permitted, historic producing mine close to Smithers, BC. The permit is there, right? The workforce is close by. The guidance of the company is that it might be able to get back into production really, really short. The company is going to then finance all the rest of the exploration by the proceeds of the mine operation. So, as I said at the beginning, it's almost too good to be true. But yeah, after I've talked to you numerous times in the last couple of weeks, I figure that if somebody can really do this, then it's you, Rana. You've proved in the past that you are not only a troubleshooter, yeah, because you have been able to turn around a number of companies, but you're also a good coach, yeah, because you are putting the right people at the right spot at the right point in time. And that's exactly what you need to do. You don't have to be, because I'm wearing this Canucks cap, right? You don't have to be the best player in the offense or defense. You don't have to score the goals, but you have to be the coach who knows who is the best scorer and put him on the field, right? So again, yeah, you have all my trust. I wish you good luck, and I'm sure that we are going to hook up sooner or later, yeah, that you can give us an update. And let me just go to, I think, the last slide. You have the contact data here. Yeah, I think the website was just recently updated, right? Reflecting the new project. So please feel free to check out bluelagoonresources.com or contact the company. Yeah, if you have any specific questions, just contact the company directly. And yeah, Rana, for me, thank you so much to take the time. I wish you the best of luck, yeah, to proceed with the project. And again, we're going to hook up fairly soon so that you can give an update to my audience. Thank you.
I look forward to it. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye-bye.